The blatant disrespect of former President Barack Obama needs to stop. It needs to stop overall, but it needs to stop first within the black community. So I don't know how this all started, why it started, or who started it, but the blatant disrespect, the fierce disagreement and objection to his viewpoints in a way that, again, is just downright disrespectful, shows no class. It needs to stop. It's not fashionable. It's not, well, apparently it is fashionable. It shouldn't be. It's not cute. It doesn't serve us in any positive way. Kind of makes us look silly when you really think about it. And so I'm going to address um, the comments that President Obama recently made on the podcast that his wife, former First Lady Michelle Obama, and her brother, his brother-in-law, their podcast, their YouTube channel. Barack Obama was a guest here recently, and he made some comments that some people don't agree with, that they um, really took out of context, which is interesting because, if you go back and listen to the comments in context, it actually makes a lot of sense. And whether or not you agree with it, you can't really honestly say you don't understand. Barack Obama, the president, was an amazing speaker, an amazing explainer, an amazing orator, and that's one of the reasons why he was elected. See, many of us were probably not political junkies at the time when he ran and throughout his time in office. I will tell you that I was. And so I watched, I'm not going to say all of his stump speeches when he was running, but I watched a lot of him. I watched a lot of his press conferences. I watched his State of the Unions. And I will tell you, if you walked away not understanding the point that he was trying to get across, it was likely because you just didn't even want to understand it. You had blinders on your ears, if you will. And so it wasn't because of him and his inability to speak. It likely had something to do with your inability or unwillingness to absorb the information, right? And your pre disagreement to it in the first place, and your pre opposition probably to him, because he's an amazing speaker and explainer. And what he was saying in this interview came across clearly to everyone who had ears to hear in the first place and understood English. Now, I'm going to address what he said, and I'm going to address the reason why I think so many of us in the black community, and I shouldn't put me in the us because I'm not in it, have this issue in him with him in the first place. So in this interview, they're talking about male emotion and how young men in particular need a variety of different male viewpoints and different kind of men in their lives to help them shape their worldview, their personality, how they problem solve, how they crisis manage. And they may not have used these words in particular, I'm paraphrasing, but this is what they're talking about, right? How they developed a variety of different viewpoints from different men that overall shaped them, right? And Barack talked about how when he visited Michelle, one of the things that he really enjoyed when he would go to family gatherings is spending time with um, their uncles and cousins. And he talked about, I met men that were kind of loud and boisterous, some that were soft spoken. I met firemen, I met policemen, people from this profession, a variety of different men that helped shape their viewpoint. Now, whether we agree to it or not, like it or not, homosexuality is alive and well in the world. There are gay people out there, gay men, gay women, LGBTQ, or whatever the acronym is, it is out there. And we're not going to be able to get rid of the fact that there are homosexuals. Heterosexuals need to get over it. I'm obviously heterosexual. I am I am against the lifestyle as a personal choice. And if I have the opportunity to talk to and influence others that may have questions about it based off of my faith first, and then based off of my what I understand to be the natural order of things, I'm going to always lean on the side of heterosexual, right? I think that's what was intended, but that's my personal belief. And that's the belief of my faith group, right? I don't have to impose that on others who are not asking for my opinion. And I have to treat everyone with dignity and respect, right? No matter what their sexual orientation is. And see, one of the reasons that Barack Obama was able to win in a crowded Democratic nomination field was his ability to communicate and be reasonable and not be far left, far right, but to be center left, and in some ways center right on some positions, right? He was able to do that when you had radicals on both sides who were not able to. And the position that he gave was reasonable, whether or not we agree with it or not. He said that in addition to all these other type of men, that you should have kind of, and he didn't use this terminology, but he's talking about fathers who are going to be raising sons. And he said one of the type of men that you need to have in your toolkit or on your board of directors as male role models or male influencers that may be able to influence your son is a gay man. And he gave the reason why, if you were listening, but as normal, as usual, right, you were not listening. And so you missed it. He said, in case your son is gay, right? Because he understands that he's not living in la la land to where there are no gay people. Your son could be gay, no fault of your own, right? Your son could come to you at some point and really be challenging his sexual orientation for a variety of different reasons, right? So you, Mr. Heterosexual, you Mr. Macho Man, and I get it because that's how I'm raised, and that's really who I am. I would struggle dealing with that with my son, right? If my son came to me with that, I would 100% struggle. Now, whether I agree that having a gay friend to help me help my son or have my son have an outlet to where he doesn't feel like he's alone in the world, because that's what Barack said. So he doesn't feel like he's alone in the world. Basically, he has someone to talk to. He said you need that. Now, whether or not you agree with whether or not he needs it and you need that as a father, you cannot argue with the point that he's making unless your opinion is that my son would never do that. This could never happen in my family, which means you're living in la la land and you're living in a state of pre-denial, not even acknowledging the fact that it's possible. As quote unquote man, all man I am, I acknowledge that it is possible. In my opinion, God forbid it coming to fruition, reality. But it is possible that my son, one of my sons, could come and present those to me and met their mother at some point, right? I hope and pray it never happens. And I'm raising them not to be that way. Absolutely. And then, so either you're denying that it's possible, or you are presupposing that you have the ability to change their mind on it, which also means that you could be in La La Land. Maybe you do, but Barack's position is that I wouldn't try to change them. I would accept them for who they are, right? Now, Michelle and his brother in law didn't ask them whether or not that was his opinion, but clearly that's what his opinion is. Is that, you know, while me and his mom obviously are heterosexual and we would, that's the way we would like them to be, I'm going to accept them for who they are and support them. And in my supporting them, if I had a male friend who was gay, I could offer this my friend as a resource, someone for him to talk to. How was that unreasonable? How was that bad? Agreeing, philosophically, I don't agree with homosexuality, period. But I agree with people's right to live that lifestyle and to be protected and treated with dignity and respect, 100%. And I'm also wise and knowledgeable enough to know that it's not going away anytime soon, if ever. This is the world we live in. Okay, and so again, the disrespect, the calling him out as if he's not a valuable member of the community. We talk about him like, some talk about him like he's trash, which leads me to my next point. One of the reasons why we go at the president like this in the black community. So many of us have the mentality that, well, he didn't do anything for us when he was in office. You'll hear people say, name me one thing that the president did for black people when he was in office, which to me is the most silliest argument. It lacks context, it lacks everything they would need to have for a good argument or just a good statement in general. Name me one. He didn't do anything for us. If he ran on a 10-point plan or a 5-point plan on what he was going to do specifically for black people, name me one president that have come out and said, we're going to do this for black people, these people, that people. When has that happened? And he did not do it. And he had opportunities to do it. He didn't do it. And I think he was wise for not doing it. Because as the president, you have to be the president of all people. Well, he did this for the gays. Well, guess what? They're black people that are gay. He did this for women. Well, they're black people who are women. They're black women. He did this for Native Americans. Well, he renewed some rights that were already there for Native Americans that had been on the books for years. He did this for this group and this group. We're talking about race here. And I don't he did this for you know, the DACA kids and they're Hispanic and they were born here, this, that, and the other. And we take all these examples that are apples and oranges type of comparisons and try to say that he didn't do anything for black people. I'm going to tell you that he did the greatest thing politically for black people that has ever been done in this country outside of freeing the slaves. Okay? The next best law that was enacted outside, well, this was not a law, but the next best thing that happened for black people after we were freed was Barack Obama getting elected. That's the best thing he did for African Americans in this country and black people around the world, in my opinion. But let's just keep it within this country, because that's kind of a stretch. The fact that a African American and a black man can get elected to the highest office, if that's not enough to stir up our motivation and our drive, right? To show that, hey, I can do and I can be anything in this country, in the world. I can do anything, right? Look, he became president. He assumed the highest office. He's in charge of the Joint Chief of Staff, Department of Labor, Department of Energy, Department of Defense, Homeland Security, right? He's the chief executive officer of the entire country. Everyone, a black man assumed that position. That should tell you that you can do anything. There are no more limits in this country if a black man can become president. Unfortunately, so many of us have a lack of respect and just overall disdain for civil service and don't understand it, that flew right over our heads. And we discount the fact that not so long ago we had a black president. Are you kidding me? That is incredible. Then what else did he do? He was scandal free. He showed you how to be a husband and how to be a father in the highest position in the land without scandal. He held his wife in high esteem and presented her as his queen. He supported her and she supported him. And they raised those kids. He bought his mother in law a loan. He even showed, in that respect, all of them how to parent together generationally, right? I'm sure there were arguments. I'm sure there were disagreements. I'm sure there were issue after issue within that family. But you never heard a peep, did you? You never heard a peep. They kept it under wraps. Now, how many of you can do that? How many of us can do that? The moment a problem comes up in our family, it ends up being a disaster. It's all over the internal family Facebook. And so, again, the president did everything for you by getting elected. You missed it. You missed it. When he got elected, that should have stirred a fire in your belly to say that in this country, I can do and I can be anything. I can accomplish anything. If a black man can become president, if a black woman can be first lady, if black children can be in the White House, if a black grandmother can be in the White House and be protected by the most superior security force in the world. What? You missed it, didn't you? And that's unfortunate. And so the disrespect must stop. You can disagree. Maybe you're not as liberal. The president has a liberal point of view. Absolutely, he talks about that within the interview. That's why he kept talking about diversity. He talks about the different plays while he was really into sports, right? And he used that to scaffold into manhood, to climb into it. His mother also was taking him to plays, taking him to musicals. He got a diverse viewpoint and background. And that's one of the reasons, again, he was able to operate and speak so well and intelligently in all those different circles in the political space. Now, again, personal viewpoint on male female relationships, it has been shaped by my upbringing and my faith, and that's mine. And I will share that with anyone who wants to hear about it. And when I see the opportunity to help someone with that, outside of that, what everyone else is doing is their business. And I'm going to treat you with dignity and respect. I'm going to show you the same love I show everyone else. And that's also another lesson from the president. I could go on about different things that he did legislatively that impacted African Americans very positively. But I think those first few that I mentioned are enough. Let's do better, people. Hey, if you're joining this channel for the first time, make sure that you go ahead and like and subscribe. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next one. Thank you.